Hello everyone, I'm Lydia, and I'm back with another message from Jesus through Mandi. This is still the break before part 28. This is declaration 4, and we are reading, let's see, part 2F. All right, so we did part 1, and then we did, I believe, A, B, C, and D and E, maybe? No, A, B, C, D, and E, I believe. Or maybe just to D, and now we're on F of part 2, because it's a long one. So this is June 18, 2026. God's physical calendar is 3:15, his spiritual calendar is 9:15, and God's true Gregorian is 1/3/2026. Okay, and Mandi has a little update here on her mom and how she's doing. She was in the ICU, I believe still in the ICU, but she is on the road to recovery. Sorry, got a little interruption there. So her mom is on the road to recovery, and she has an update here. Update on mom, she is still heading in the right direction. They are weaning her off of the b-pap mask. Vitals are looking good. She is still sepsis, and they are keeping her blood pressure stable with meds. But she is on the right antibiotics. She definitely has Jesus. I prayed and asked him what happened after they said she had a urinary tract infection, and Jesus told me that because of the bacteria that was in her urinary tract, it caused the same bacteria to go into her leg, and the bacteria got in her bloodstream and made her be sepsis. Doctors will never know, they said, but at least I planted the seed about our ultimate physician, Jesus, telling them that's what Jesus said. So Jesus told her about what it was before the doctors even came back with the results. I'm not sure if you got that, but that is actually, so it's really cool. What's interesting is on June 13, 2026, and Jesus does this stuff all the time. Like he will tell Mandi what is going on before anybody knows, before the proof is there, showing that it's him speaking. Okay, what's interesting is on June 13, 2026, my message from Jesus, he spoke, it is a 31 countdown to restoration. That totally matches the countdown for now, as I'm doing an update every day as the pre-countdown has started with starting Cassie's cancer journey. And since we have been in the hospital with my mom, Jesus and his prees, he is so funny. I haven't left her side, not once, since she has been in ICU. I'm watching her, adjusting her pillows, feeding her, getting her ice chips, basically whatever she wants. I nicknamed her the Pillow Queen, LOL. Every time they give me a pillow for me, my mom wants another one. She is so cute, and she is in good spirits. G has been such an amazing husband. Basically, so it's showing that Jesus is sending people to bring a pillow, just a pillow, because he knows that she's going to ask for one. Okay, G has been such an amazing husband, bringing me a change of clothes and stuff to wash up with, bringing me food and staying with me in the evening overnight to be with me while I be with my mom. Sheila, my friend, has watched all the animals and also visited to keep me company throughout the day. I definitely have an awesome support team. My mom also has friends and family coming to see her as she is on the mend to recovery, and they brought goodies as well. Thanks for your continued prayers for her, and the remaining of the Declaration Part 4 videos recorded on June 10, 2026 will be resumed on June 21, 2026 as per Jesus. I found something else interesting what Jesus told me, matching the mirror of my mom going to the hospital. Mom went to the ER on June 14, 2026, and Jesus said this to me on April 15, 2026. It was a message for Sheila, G, and I, and that's Mandi speaking. April 15, 2026 message. Sheila, you won't know where the world is, but you know that they will be safe, and that is your key to talk to Mandi's mom, because Mandi will not have a chance to say goodbye to her mother. I will have to whisk her away fast. This is when you will show her everything. There's going to be more evidence of all of this, and her mom will finally believe and understand. She will also see Mandi at a point where Mandi will seem smaller, but of course she will look at it like it's just a coincidence. But eventually it'll be too obvious for her not to believe more. So all this is coming. I just started with the left leg, and that's just a little blip of the message that Jesus gave them on April 15, 2026. Okay, and then Mandi says, my mom's infection, which brought her to the ER, was the left leg. Had no clue what Jesus was talking about, but it always seems to fit with the current situation. It is just my childlike faith, I guess, but I believe God is always behind these things and sometimes warning us. Just like I don't believe it was a coincidence that I called my mother Sunday night to check on her and found out she was really sick. I usually don't reach out to her on Sundays, but it was my other brother's birthday and he hadn't heard from her, so I was worried. I'm so thankful that I did call her because I saw that she was sick when I FaceTimed her, and I immediately went over there and called a friend of hers who was closer to her before I could get there because I was 20 minutes away, and she called the ambulance. The friend called the ambulance. I feel like this could have ended up so much worse if I did not pick up the phone and call her. So yes, I do believe God intervenes on things to help us and guide us. Originally, I wasn't supposed to talk to her until Monday when G and I were gonna go to the grocery store for her, but I'm so thankful, and I called her that Sunday night because she may not be here if I didn't. Also, Jesus knew that I would be helping my mom and have no means to cook being at the hospital. So because my car insurance came out making my account negative, I woke up yesterday morning and Jesus removed my car insurance payment just like he did my cell phone, turning it back on without paying the bill and giving me a $35 credit, proving the worlds are colliding together and why there is a Mandela effect. Well, he did it again with my car insurance. I didn't have enough money to cover it, and I ended up being over negative $200 after it came out. But yesterday I woke up and looked at my account, and that payment was gone, and I had 98 cents. Well, then somebody in the group got it in their spirit to send me, G, and Sheila money. And I never told them I was negative in my account or asked for anything. But Jesus knew what we needed, so he changed my account by removing my car insurance so I could accept the money for Sheila, G, and I, because my account would have been negative if Jesus wouldn't have removed the payment. But again, Jesus not only took the payment away, I logged into my Progressive insurance account, and payment is not due until end of June now, after I had already seen it taken out. Again, that is not another coincidence. That is Jesus working behind the scenes. Don't forget, Jesus had G and I get our 2 beach towels, the beach chair, and the umbrella, which cost $225, matching the 522 journey. Knowing that my car insurance was coming out. My car insurance always comes out in the beginning of the month, but he removed the payment and made it for the end of the month after the payment had already been taken out, again proving the multiple worlds. So G and I knew we needed that $225 for the insurance, but Jesus needed us to be obedient and spend it making our beach video because God knew he was about to supernaturally change my account and change my payment. And because of G and I's faith, we listened to him, not worrying about our money and the insurance payment, knowing that God had us because we followed his instructions. So we bought it anyway, and then look, he supernaturally took the payment away, again proving there's multiple worlds. I'm so grateful for him and our group for the love of their neighbor, listening to their spirit as Jesus guides them. We love Jesus. He knows everything we need before we even ask him. He is always on time and so loving. Now on to declaration part 4. So notice how she says that Jesus knew that that he was going to send a gift through somebody else in the group to their account, and since it was negative, he reverted that. I think maybe switched into a different world and made so that they actually had 98 cents in their account. And that also shows how Jesus said that only 2% of people, 98% of people do not know true salvation. Yeah, so when Jesus said that few there be that find it, the true salvation is once saved, always saved. Jesus gives you his heart of flesh, and he removes your stony heart, the one that's bound underneath sin and the law and guilt, right? And when he takes that stony heart out and puts in his heart of flesh, his heart of flesh, his perfect heart of flesh, that's how you become perfect in the eyes of your Father in heaven, your true Father. The false father is the father who's over the law and the stony hearts. But he says that only 98% know the true salvation. So that, I think that's kind of beautiful, because it's also speaking about here in this message how it is talking about that, referencing that, how some people in the group in the past, they started making messages about salvation, making lessons about salvation for the 12 in the group. But Jesus said, you're making up your own lessons. I didn't give you those lessons because you are saved. It's for those who aren't saved, those who are still lost, of his children who don't know the true salvation. So I think that's actually kind of amazing that happened now. It's very strategic. And then also I want to mention that if you know what Mandi speaks about here, all the things that Jesus is doing supernaturally that show that he is speaking and he is moving. Not once since I accepted being part of the group have I ever doubted that it was Jesus speaking through her. Not once. Because if you were to see what Jesus is doing, it's impossible to believe unless, I don't know, maybe there's things in your heart that are darkening it and blocking belief. But if you were to actually see all these things, and this is the type of stuff that happens all the time, and also just simply, I know, like I can recognize between the voice of the truth father speaking and the voice of the false father. And yes, I have heard, where it speaks here about that sometimes he gives people messages from their heart. I have seen that, and I have seen the difference. I've seen the difference, and that happens, where Jesus will give you something, even when you can hear from him clearly. It's for training and testing purposes, where he then wants you to use discernment of the Holy Spirit, of the lessons that he's given you before, where he wants you to put those to use, and you need to remember those lessons. And when he gives you an opportunity to purge, if you miss it, you might have a harder time carrying and remembering those lessons, because when you don't take your thoughts captive, when they come up and Jesus puts a finger on something, then you can start going off, following your heart. So you can go off following your heart and hear lessons that, yes, Jesus is speaking, but he's giving it as a test. So when we start thinking ill of our neighbor, or if we allow jealousy to get in, or even things that we might not even, because we didn't purge when we had, or it could be fear is what threw us off, and we didn't purge it completely, and then like to the best of our ability, right? Because he never holds us accountable, or he never, it's when we haven't really followed through the lesson, then he just sends more lessons to try to pull that out of your heart. Because after you've gone through salvation, then he's going to try to pull, he will always try to pull those impurities out of your heart. And he will always do it, Jesus will always do it in the most fitted way for you. And he knows, because he knows the most intricate parts, the most intimate parts of our hearts. He knows what it will take to put a finger on those things. But if we evade that and we don't purge that, then he will send more. And sometimes he will just allow you to keep going around in the circle and keep going around, wandering in the wilderness, because you haven't truly, you've evaded those purging opportunities, so you're not ready to move on. So I just want to say that Jesus is a really amazing gentleman, and he's a wonderful father in the way that he leads his children, and he never gives people more than they can handle. And sometimes it takes a little longer for some than others to get to the place where they are strong enough to move on and to serve others the way he needs us able to serve, with ourselves in control. Sometimes we need to set our feelings aside to complete the missions, like he was saying before, where we set our feelings aside for the sake of saving his children. And sometimes to complete a mission, that's what's required. And if we're not able to do that, and we are led by our own heart and by what we ourselves want, because our feelings are in charge, then we're not ready. It would be a danger to the people around us. It would be not helpful to his children. So that's something that he explains in some of these messages. And we would do the same thing for our children. We wouldn't send them out places where they're not prepared, right? Okay, so she says, now on to the declaration, part 4. Part 2F. I always give you choices for everything. Sometimes I call you away for Zooms because your father knows what you need, and I know your home life or outings with your soulmates that are very important, as personal attention given to your families and time of spending quality time with your family to show love to one another. But sometimes I call you away as a test. Am I isolating you even after I called unity? Again, you have to know the difference. I need all of you to realize you are always being set up for testing. This is why I tell you all to use wisdom and discernment by the Holy Spirit. All of these lessons I'm teaching you, I always put out witnesses to give you truths, and if you were on the Zoom tonight, you would have seen the revelations that I have been giving you all. I am also giving them to my second circle meets the 12, Charlene and Jason. So do not miss the lesson. Don't forget, everything is a test. You have to show true discernment by the Spirit with wisdom and learn, live, and breathe in all of my lessons, and do not forget what I have already taught all of you so you can be successful for the next lesson. Moving on, Kathy, Matthew, and Lori, I did that to you 3 a long time ago with testing, which is why you came in at the end, and Kathy closer to the end, so you 3 could help guide the group and keep them balanced. I even pulled people in from different circles, and I have tested these 3 to the max. And I have always set them up for testing, and they are seasoned on meat, and they know how to use wisdom and discernment by the Spirit, but that doesn't mean they are finished. There is always room for learning and changing. Never think you are done, because you aren't. As my kings and my queens, you will never stop learning. And you will always continue to learn from me and never stop. And that's a good thing. Okay. Poor Cassie, I had her do cancer treatments, lose her hair, and make her have the biggest test of faith when I had the devil pronounce death over her. But it wasn't an actual death. It was a trial, a test, a facade. I allowed it for purification and faith because I already told her she was getting the waters of Dan and she would be healed. And I'm using her for hardships through testing of symbolism while purifying her heart and cleansing her. This is why the B therapy messages was pulling thoughts from your own hearts, because I already spoke in a previous prophecy that Cassie was healed. But you forgot the previous lesson in prophecy, but you weren't the only one, Ashlyn. Several of you were searching for remedies of healing, even though I already told you she was healed. So the message I gave Ashlyn contradicted the previous prophecy, and it was another example of wavering in faith, not believing in spoken words and missing the lesson. I told you, if I give you something that contradicts what I have already given you, then you need to use wisdom and discernment by the Spirit. Again, I was testing you all and training you all so you can become battle ready. Stick around for declaration part 4, part 3a. And Mandi says, P.S. My mom knows about this post and she approves every picture before I post anything because she wants to keep her family and friends updated. Oh, all right. I love you guys. God bless you. I hope that you were able to learn from this. And as always, remember to pray about it. And don't forget that Jesus knows what everyone needs and he knows how to communicate with everyone. And it looks different for different people. And sometimes Jesus wants you just to walk by faith and he's not ready to speak as clearly to you, but he will speak in some way. So ask him to open your eyes to him speaking and keep knocking, and the door will be open to you. He promises that in scripture, and still he promises that. So I love you. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.